Hello and welcome. I'm Pratap Singh. You're joining us on NewsX. Eminent physicist Dr. Rajagopala Chidambaram, who was a key figure in India's nuclear tests in 1974 and 1998, has passed away at the age of 88. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed his condolences, saying that he is deeply saddened by the demise of one of the key architects of India's nuclear program, who made groundbreaking contributions in strengthening India's scientific and strategic capabilities. Born in 1983, Chidambaram studied at Presidency College in Chennai and the Institute of Science in Bengaluru. He was a leading nuclear weapon designer and the architect of the Pokhran 2 test, which made India the 6th country to join the nuclear club in 1998. He was subsequently honoured with the Padma Vibhushan Award in 1999. Today, we at NewsX are paying our tributes to Dr. Rajagopala Chidambaram. Well, let me quickly, in fact, bring in some more details regarding now this great luminary, of course, has passed away. Let me quickly apprise our viewers of some facts about his life. Dr. R. Chidambaram, of course, was born in 1936, passed away in 2025. He was born in November the 11th, in fact, in 1936 in Madras province. He completed his early schooling in Meerut as well as Chennai. Also, he obtained the BSc with honours in physics in 1956. He was ranked first at the Madras University. He completed his MSc in physics then from Madras University. He also taught physics laboratory courses. And he was awarded his PhD in nuclear magnetic resonance by the Indian Institute of Science in 1962. The IISc awarded him the Martin Forster Medal for the best doctoral thesis submitted to the university as well. He was conferred the doctoral degrees throughout his professional career by 8 Indian universities. He also joined the Bhabha Atomic Research Centre, dedicating his research to the field of nuclear science. He assisted the Indian Army in building the nuclear test site at Pokhran, supervising, in fact, India's first nuclear test. The Prime Minister Indira Gandhi conferred him with the Padma Shri in 1975 for his service to the nation. He also served as president of the BARC from 1990 to 1993, that's the BARC. He initiated development of supercomputers as well while he was there. He was the key architect of the Pokhran 1 test that I told you about in 18th May 1974. He also was a key architect of the Pokhran 2 test in 1998, 11th of May to be precise. Dr. Chidambaram held many positions of distinction, including being awarded the Padma Vibhushan as well in the year 1999. He also served as Secretary of the Department of Atomic Energy from a period of 1993 to 2000. He was chairman of the Board of Governors of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, from 1994 to 1995. And Dr. Chidambaram was appointed Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India from 2002 all the way till 2018. Other prominent awards that he got through his career was the C.V. Raman Medal of the Indian National Science Academy in 1995, the R.D. Birla Award of the Indian Physics Association in 1996. Also, he was awarded the Meghnad Saha Medal of the Indian National Science Academy in 2002, the INS Homi Bhabha Lifetime Achievement Award from the Indian Nuclear Society, in fact, in 2006 as well. So, truly a distinguished, long and of course awarded career for Dr. Chidambaram. The nation, of course, pays their tributes to him today. Let me bring in our special guest joining us now live, Group Captain V.N. Jha, former Joint Director DRDO. Also with us is Hindol Sengupta, Professor of International Relations, OP Jindal Global University. Ram Srivastav, former ISRO scientist, is also joining us live. P.K. Ghosh, space strategist, is also live with us on the broadcast. Group Captain Jha, let me begin with you first. Your tributes, how would you like to remember Dr. Chidambaram?
Well, we are too small a person to, try to elaborate him. He was a fantastic scientist, having the scientific acumen to the most imaginable extent that we can think of, because, of course, he was involved in Pokhran 1 as well as Pokhran 2. Pokhran 1 in a smaller way. Pokhran 2 was the one. He was the architect of it. And, as a scientist, and when we designed something, the type of simulation he had carried out in those years, thought process of the future implementation of a weapon grade into the various means, how he had planned this, how he had made the computer simulation of various systems, subsystems, and computation of how to calculate the yield
कि हमारे
and how to go gradually from for the thermal thermonuclear test. It was the first time the test was being done. Of course, for the fissile test, 74 was a milestone from where they had to yield, they had to go forward. But for the thermonuclear, for the hydrogen bomb testing, it was the first time. And how he had progressed onto the computer simulation, computer design, and computerization of the yield altogether, and subsequently do many of the tests on the computer even after the test had undergone. One has to have the type of vision to think of this, plan all this, and all too secretly that not even your right hand knows what your left hand is doing. That was the type of secrecy that was in the Pokhran too. Uh, I'm too small a person, again, I repeat, to describe him, but he was rightly conferred as a Padma Vibhushan after the Pokhran too. And it has been a great loss to the nation that he is no more. But whatever legacy he has left, what were the next generation that he has prepared at BARC and other places? It is only his legacy that it will be, blossoming in the coming years and decades. A great person. My tribute to him, my salute to him. Uday.
me, in fact, also now quickly get in Hindol Sen Gupta. Hindol Sen Gupta, sad news, of course, coming in today. The Prime Minister has also paid his tributes. But how should the nation remember Dr. Chidambaram, according to you?
Thank you, Uday. I think two or three things are very important. A lot has been said about Dr. Chidambaram's extremely illustrious life, so I won't repeat those. No doubt he was a pioneering scientist. But we often forget under what circumstances these people worked. And today in 2024, it's easy to forget the kind of international pressures that India faced, and indeed these scientists faced in trying to do their work with the utmost secrecy. Let us not forget that after Operation Shakti, Dr. Chidambaram was actually refused a visa to the US, even though he was only attending in his personal capacity, because the Clinton administration, quote unquote, was reviewing, the entire sort of cooperation between the two countries. All of this is, the fate of anybody who stands up for India's sovereignty and tries to protect India's sovereignty. It is very important also to note that today this is a moment we should take to really think carefully how important was the decision to get our own nuclear weapons. How important was that decision for protecting our sovereignty. Even today, there are people in India who claim that India should not have perhaps got nuclear weapons. I remember as a school student, Arundhati Roy's large essay saying that India should have never, the death of imagination, she called it, should have never got nuclear weapons. This sort of opinion, which is fundamentally harmful for India's sovereignty, for India's security, persists in India even today. Even today, there are people who believe that we shouldn't be doing as much as we are doing, or shouldn't be doing more to defend us, for instance, our second strike capability. We should really take a moment and think about how strong our deterrence is today and how strong our second strike capability is today. We are sitting at a time when China is displaying fifth generation fighter jets to the world, is building, a navy at a historical pace. So all of these things have direct implications to our security. I think Dr. Chidambaram's passing away and the immense contribution men like him made to our sovereignty and security must give us pause today to think very carefully what are the destructive elements towards our security and sovereignty today, and what more can we do to enhance our deterrence, to enhance our second strike capability, and to enhance our sovereignty today. As it were, my shat naman to Dr. Chidambaram. And remember, he was unfazed when he was refused the US visa. He was unfazed. His life is an example of when you make a commitment to the country, you don't need to always doff the cap to the West.
Okay, let me in fact quickly take that to Ram Srivastav now. Ram Srivastav, What do you believe were the most significant contributions of R. Chidambaram that you would like to recount today, that you believe the country should not forget, and how would you pay your tributes to him?
Look here, Chidambaram was really a great scientist. He started his journey of science in 1962 after getting the PhD. And his work was in BARC, was Baba Atomic Research Center. Very first he was working on the hydrogen bonding with oxalic acid, and that publication is really original one. And after that, he started his journey. More than 117 research papers were published in the renowned journals, famous journals of scientific era. His work particularly focused was on nuclear explosions and nuclear power plants and nuclear technology. And the biggest achievement was how to contain the pressure on different materials. He was an expert in crystallography, and when he was going to US for presenting his research paper in crystallography, he was refused visa. The reason was simple. He was under the eye of the Western countries that he is one of the famous nuclear scientists. And after his retirement, he was appointed as the security advisor to the Prime Minister, and he worked there till 2018 after retirement. His biggest contribution even after retirement was the interferometer for detecting the gravitational wave, a very big project. His mission was to look forward, take mega projects, and those mega projects, how to integrate them, how to maintain the secrecy, how to work for the future of the country. That was his ambition, and I salute him. He was really a great scientist, great scientist. His contribution can never be forgotten. The reason is very simple. In 1974, the technology was altogether different. At that time, these microchips were not available. Then came the era of your semiconductors, and nowadays we are moving in the era of microcontrollers with the help of the chips and all. So look here, in this era, he was thinking about the quantum computers, and India started working in that particular field. The supercomputer which came to India, and its practical applications are simply because of Mr. Chidambaram, and they will be always remembered. Padma Shri Chidambaram was a great scientist. I pay my homage and regards for him. May God keep his soul in peace, and we will always be guided by his ambitions, his mission. His ambitions were to make the country great, great, great again, and we are moving in that particular direction. Now we are moving towards the moon, we are moving towards the sun, we are very soon going to install our space station. All these fundamental things were based on his on scientists, Indian scientists of the mission which Chidambaram has just developed in our country, and under the circumstances where he was working was really very, very difficult. After APJ Abdul Kalam, he was appointed as security advisor of Government of India. His contribution is great, undoubtedly great. And now our technology of nuclear warhead has totally changed within 10 years. Now the microcontrollers, the laser guided, and all these things which were dreams 20 years back, they came because of his advice, his mission, his future, thinking about the security of the nation. I pay my regards, and may God keep his soul in peace, and always we will be guided by his thinking, by his hard working. I'm really very, very sorry to see his sad demise. It was my pleasure to see him 3 times in international conferences. here in India as well as abroad. And I was highly impressed with his personality, though he was only 3 years elder than me. And practically, I started my journey in the education field, and he was in a nuclear field. My classmates, my students were working in the nuclear field, and they were appreciating him like anything.
Yes. Let me quickly take that across to PK Ghosh as well. PK Ghosh, a brilliant mind who, of course, is now no more. How should the nation remember him? How do we ensure we don't forget our scientists who've contributed so much?
Yes, I think I can safely call him as one of the foundational pillars of scientific advancement in India. And when I say that, I think his contribution to science in general, as well as nuclear science and its advancement in India, has been in nothing short of remarkable. Of course, there are two aspects to my paying homage to this great scientist. One is a personal one, which I will not dwell on too much. It's just that, he was a wonderful person. He was my father's colleague in the atomic energy. And apart from being a wonderful scientist, he was a great person. But that I will leave for this time being. Let me talk about how it was partly luck, or was it, when he was involved in both the Smiling Buddha as well as the Shakti. Let me take on the Smiling Buddha Pokhran 1974 blasts. He was not a very senior person at that time. The chairman was, of course, Sethna, with Raja Ramanna being there, and P.K. Anger, his deputy, then Nag Chaudhary was there. And despite that, Dr. Chidambaram played a very important role, which I think is also mentioned in his autobiography, of getting the entire plutonium to the place in Pokhran. Now, apart from that, he was deeply involved in it, for which he was one of the 5 scientists, apart from the people who got the Padma Vibhushan, he got the Padma Shri in 1975, I think. Okay, then comes a time that he finally joined, he not only is there in BARC, but becomes the chairman of BARC, the director of BARC, I stand corrected, director of BARC. And he was again the top man when the Shakti tests were carried out in 1998. So he had the experience, as Group Captain Jha said, he had the experience of 74 behind him, because most of the people who were scientists who were there at that time had, the senior lot at least had retired. So he carried that impetus forward, and he was the chairman. Now, so he could, forecast a lot of things. He could foresee a lot of things. And I can say this much, that it was really a very big help, because when you see from both sides how are things in the that is one, and how it is in Shakti. So, experience helps. A lot has been said about how he worked in adverse conditions. Let me tell you, a lot of our scientists actually work under a lot of adverse conditions. In fact, most of our scientists work on a lot of adverse conditions if they have got to sort of advance our scientific research. And the fact that he wasn't allowed for the crystallography symposium or seminar while he was the vice president at that time of the International Association. Yes, it's true, but there have been other cases which have not come into the media where scientists have been prohibited, or ISRO scientists have come under a lot of strain. I mean, no technology was ever given to them. I think both my panelists will agree with that. So it's not that our scientists, hats off to our scientists. each one of them, and the incredible work which they do. One important aspect which was also mentioned by Group Captain Jha, I would like to reiterate, he foresaw a lot of things. He did a lot of simulation. And the fact that he encouraged the thermonuclear tests apart from the sorry, the fission test is something which is incredible. Now, this is not where the entire story stops. When he was the principal scientific advisor, he did some incredible things too. Do you know that he actually started an advisory group for the automotive industry? Not many people know that. He's helped the NIC in starting the knowledge network, which was the nuclear knowledge net, National Knowledge Network, I stand corrected, National Knowledge Network with the help of the NIC and so many other things. So he was trying to advance not only in nuclear science, for which we know him, crystallography, which we know him, and so many other magnetic, nuclear magnetic resonance, in which his thesis was, by the way, and so many other things, but even science in general. So all that I can say is I salute this great scientist, and like I said before, I regard him as one of the foundational pillars of scientific advancement for entire India. Each and every citizen of India should be proud of our scientists and people like Dr. Chidambaram. We salute him, and these people don't die. I'm sorry, but these people don't die. They leave behind a legacy behind. And it is for us to carry that legacy forward. It is for us to see that these visions keep on in the current lot of scientists. So these people don't die. Let us not mourn him, but let us see that his thought keeps on going ahead forward. That's all that I have to say.
Okay. Let me in fact quickly take that back across to Group Captain Jha now. Group Captain Jha, you know, as far as now the nuclear tests are concerned in Pokhran, you know, how much of effort actually went into that entire test? And of course, a key architect of both the first test and the second test was our Chidambaram. We can't forget, you know, his contributions to that moment, which is forever etched in India's history.
Well, what in short I can say, Dr. Chidambaram is the father of nuclear India. It won't be over speaking if we say that. But you know, correlating 1974 test with the 1989 test, it is a slight bit of there's a difference in that too. The first test, even though called smiling Buddha or peaceful nuclear explosions are seldom peaceful. But what was done in 74, that particular grade of fission test, what we had conducted, cannot have been employed into a weapon grade to be called as a nuclear nation. What was done in 89, that was the one which had set up the platform for the capability of nuclear devices, that we can say. Of course, thermonuclear was the one. And again, just I'll tell you back, take you back. 74 test. It was a smaller device, but the mass was used. That test was 74 test was for the 12 kiloton, and the mass of the entire devices were huge. That could have been employed as a weapon grade either for the missile or for the aircraft to be carried along for carrying out the destruction on the enemies. But in 89, what test was carried on, entire thing was even the prototype was made much smaller, much lighter, to be carried onto the missiles, to be carried onto the aircraft as a warhead. And that is how it was. And the best part of it, which touches me as a scientist, is that he thought of all those performance capability of the either the fissile or the fusion material. Fusion material, of course, he had designed initially was two stages. The first stage, which caused the implosion, fission material that created the pressure inside the device that caused the hydrogen bomb to explode. That was the two stage. And of course, in today's world, lot many refinement has happened. The technology has advanced. So that was one thing which he had thought of, and then he computed the various ways and means of making other grades. You know, 0.2 kg to 0.2 kiloton weapon grade explosion. People can't think of even now today, but he had done it in 1989. You know, the two tests that he had carried out, I think one was on 11th May something, and 2 days later another test was carried out. That 13th May test included 0.2 and 0.3 kiloton explosions. That was in before 90. Today, even people are thinking of how to plan, how to make the device technology for the sub-kiloton. And I'm talking of 0.2 kiloton. So that is the type of vision that he has had. That is the type of expertise he has had. That is the type of simulation he had already carried out that gave him the confidence that yes, 0.2 kiloton can be exploded. So again, salute to this particular scientist and his entire team. You know, these things are not done single-handedly. It is a team work. So the entire team owes a big salute by all Indians today. Today, whatever we are, or tomorrow's whatever will be our nuclear capability, that was envisioned way back in 1988-89. And today what we are and where the country can march forward in the nuclear devices in the coming years and decades has already been planned long back. Salute, great salute to this great scientist, salute to his team, salute to the India,
Yes.
where such people are there in that.
Okay. Okay. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us. We've completely run out of time. Let's leave it at that. And we also, from NewsX, pay our tributes to Dr. Chidambaram as well. Thank you all for joining us. Let's take a short break.